Hey everybody, I figured I'd do one more video just showing off some of the stuff I did after that last project. Since then I took a multi-threading class and then went into DirectX. And we actually got quite a bit of cool stuff done in DirectX. This one here, there's just a light. You can't actually see the source of the light, but you can see its effects on a plane as it moves up and down, closer and farther to and from the plane. So fairly simple, but that's just probably our second project, I think it was. This is our midterm here. I actually don't have camera control in this one, but that's okay. So it's actually supposed to look like what you see here, except the top of the star is probably supposed to be a little taller. I hand-coded all of the vertices for the star myself, and the floor is not supposed to be a bunch of separated squares. It's actually they're all supposed to be together, but I tried to focus on making it efficient instead of just, being in such a constrained amount of time. I had, I think, 3 hours to code this from scratch. I should have just kind of focused on the assignment instead of trying to be efficient about it or do anything fancy like that. And of course we have a rotating skybox in the background. But all in all, I think I got like a 95 on this or something, just because the checkerboard was a little messed up. Maybe a 90. But that's about it. It was a lot of fun. It was fairly challenging to have something like that done in just a few hours, considering I think that was the end of the second week of DirectX. This here is a geometry shader that I programmed, and basically each of these triangles that you see here, the green triangles, are actually just represented by 1 point each in my on the C++ side, or in the buffer. And then with the geometry shader, I make triangles out of them, and then the triangles change their size based on some input. Just 4 keys for taller, shorter, and then wider, thinner. And that's pretty much it. So very simple geometry shader. I really want to make a much better one, or do something with one, but I really don't have any ideas yet as to what I can do. Maybe the engine I'm about to show off in a couple minutes, I'll make a death animation for an enemy ship. When it gets destroyed, it crumples inwards or something. I really haven't put enough thought into it yet. I've been concentrating on other things. This here is actually just a compute shader in motion, if you will. All of the smoke, it is actually supposed to look like what you see here. We were just given a very simple kind of crummy PNG or bitmap, whatever this was. Actually, I think it was a DDS texture, as a matter of fact. And each of these pieces is being moved by a compute shader rather than C++. So it was basically, again, just an in-motion usage of a compute shader, just so we know how to make one. I have actually been working on, in my wrapper, a collision detection with compute shader, testing the triangles, every single triangle in one model versus every triangle in another. Again, just as sort of a stress test, really. And I actually did get it to chug the video card pretty hard, but it still wasn't detecting properly. I was getting lots of false positives and having a couple issues, so I've got to figure out how to fix that. I just haven't had the time to mess with it. The finding documentation on compute shaders is definitely a challenge. And then finally, we have our final. This was the final for DirectX. So camera movement, of course. I can spin this guy. He spins automatically, but of course I can change his speed, spin him quicker or slower. And this here, if you can probably tell right here, the easiest is we actually were given a specular texture for each of the pieces here, and so you can see the shininess on the armor is not quite as shiny as on the cloth, and then his skin has no shininess. It's just shaded based on the lighting's position on him. Came out pretty well. Same thing, we have another compute shader moving the smoke, and that was actually the only thing I think I got hit on, was the smoke doesn't blend well enough. I ran into a couple of odd issues while trying to program this. But all in all, again, yeah, made a pretty good grade on it, and I'm pretty proud of it. Now, yeah, and we have a texture that moves with the camera. It does not move. It doesn't actually have a 3D space, or it does. It just doesn't move with our environment. And finally, we have my wrapper that I've been working on. It started off as just a texture manager or texture wrapper. I actually need to move some of this stuff out of here. This should be for movement of 3D objects and not really have anything to do with textures themselves. But I've got some interesting stuff here. Basically, in the end, it only takes, let's see, I think 6 or 7 lines of code to, right here we get a pointer to the singleton that is my texture manager, add a model, and if that model has a texture, you can add that, or if I actually have it set up to where if I put in the string null, it will just color it white for right now. Translation, scaling, rotation, and then the renders right here. Again, all we do is get a pointer to the singleton and then tell it to render. I actually haven't implemented anything with these coordinates yet, and I just have the translation that we saw in the constructor is delegating where they actually start when the program starts. So pretty simple, pretty easy to use, very convenient, and I actually just added the ability to, if I try to load the same model more than once, the texture manager will recognize that and just give me back a pointer to that model, so I can render it multiple times. In with all there is per these models is just both of them have a pointer to the same model and then their own matrix, and they don't go away until destroyed. So no memory leaks, of course, all that stuff. That was a little interesting to do. And of course the background that you saw that was scrolling by is simply just a 2D texture on two triangles or a quad. And I have a pretty nice, very convenient vertex shader for that allows me to take in, I send in the section of the bitmap or the DDS texture, actually in this case, that I want to display and where I want to display it. So in my case, I display it from 0, 0 to whatever the size of my window is, and the section I want to display covers that size and then moves along that bitmap or DDS texture as it goes. So it's not actually one giant quad that I'm moving, it's one perfectly sized quad, and I'm just moving what part of the image I'm displaying. Added some Xbox controller support for my player input, but that's extremely simple if you've never worked with Xbox controller inputs before. The Microsoft has made it quite easy to add. That's pretty much it. Working on that compute shader, and yeah, I think that's it. So I'll catch you guys next time and try and keep you more updated with what I'm doing in the future. Have a good one.